about the similarities between the stories is what our channel is built on, right? That's the foundation of universal theory, is the similarities in stories and philosophies and religions, finding the underlying framework, and then we can find unity in each other, right? Then there's the differences don't matter. The cultural and ritual differences that we wage wars over will no longer be a thing. We won't need them if we can all get to the point of seeing. I've been lucky my life. I've never seen religion, science, philosophy as separate things. I've never looked at one religion and another and been able to say, oh yeah, that's the right one. I've just always been blinded by the similarities between all of them and not understanding why the people around me don't see them. What is a hallucination? So what we call reality is a stable hallucination. Right? That there's no, what we call reality around us is a stable hallucination. Perception is a stable hallucination. When we ingest other things and there's more, maybe the brain becomes more entropic, which allows for different, it allows for the brain to start functioning in a different manner. Perceptions start to change. You might get synesthesia, where you smell sights, right? Or you taste sounds. Why is that any less real? Why is that a hallucination, but reality isn't? These are the questions that, I ask myself, and we all should be asking ourselves. Why is my stable and now, if we can all agree that it's just a hallucination, that all of this is just a perceptual hallucination, and we can get to the reasons behind it, right? I think in our book that's coming out, we do a very good job. It's called Principles and Protocols. We do a very good job, I would say, explaining kind of why you have this stability, this homeostasis, and then you move from that homeostasis, but you always have this safety, right? It's like a safety layer to come back to in order to continue the exploration. But, to sit here and to say that what you experience under any kind of mind-altering substance is less real is to say that reality itself is less real. Is that the what is that, the lateralis? Tool is 10,000 Days is one of my favorite albums. Anybody in here into Tool? I don't know. Tool's, I guess they haven't had a whole lot going on recently, but yes, Tool was, man, just some of my favorite all-time music. If you guys aren't familiar with Tool, you need to go check out 10,000 Days for sure. But yeah, look at that. So fractal patterns. We were talking yesterday or 2 days ago about fractal patterns and how fractal patterns show the infinite in the finite and the finite in the infinite. Same thing as a superposition, right? A wave superposition, you can have one wave, you could have no wave, you could have a single line. There's no wave there. That's comprised of an infinite number of waves that are moving in all possible directions. Yet they add up to a flat line. That's the infinite in the finite. That's the finite or the infinite in the potential, not necessarily the infinite in the no thing or the nothing. It just seems to be nothing, but as soon as there's perspective, there's something. So there's some potentiality. So you have this flat line, but it's infinite. It's made up of infinite number of waves. It's fractals and superpositions both show this secret, this paradox. This is a beautiful expression of that. You can see these fractal patterns. It's trippy, super trippy. Argument is he's basically saying that where we're at, as far as information goes now, we've never been here before. There's never been a civilization before, and there's never been ones that crashed. And before we didn't understand because we were like, well, there would be so much evidence. There would be so much evidence of books and all these other, towering structures or whatever that, how could that be possible? But then we start to think about, well, look at our data centers. Look at the cloud. The more Microsoft is talking about investing and putting servers under the water in the sea to help them cool, to help them stay cool, to help with the cooling. You need to cool computers in order for them to continue to act efficiently, right? There needs to be some sort of liquid cooling. So if Microsoft is starting to put servers underwater, then why would we think that we've never gotten to this point and further to where some of these relics just don't look? How many people nowadays even know how to write in cursive? How many people write stuff down on paper anymore or read physical books? And we're nowhere near the edge of a technological advancement. Pretty soon we'll just be passing information back and forth to each other to let either whether through technology, technological telepathy. I mean, you got people like Michael Levin, who is starting to manipulate the bioelectric field. You're going to have people that can who can regrow limbs. And not only limbs, they'll be able to change the bioelectric field to where it mimics a wing. I mean, we think that we're so hubris always to believe that it's a linear thing. We've never had a crash in civilization. It's only been 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Oh, well, then now it's 6,000. Oh, well, now it's 12,000 with Göbekli Tepe. And oh, well, now, it's just we keep on finding more and more evidence. And these civilizations were built on top of each other. And hate to break it, but thousands and thousands of years, these tall skyscrapers and all that stuff isn't going to be around. So I don't know why people are so insistent on that. They're so insistent on this idea that, well, what we know now, what we never knew before. Well, we never have known these things. No, stop it. Stop it.
You don't want to even believe rumors.
Logo said I write on paper and read books. Well, no, I do too. Look, I'm just pointing. If you were to look at number of people that write on paper and read books and time, 1990s to now, it's going to be like, whoop. It's going to be whoop. It's going to be very much lower. And yeah, of course, if you know cursive, you're going to write in cursive. You guys, I'm talking odd average in general. I know you guys know what I'm saying, but you guys are just poking. But yeah, that's, it's, my daughter might never write on a physical medium, except as a child, right? She's already learning to use an iPad and a computer for learning, So yeah, you're right. All of this, it's a great point. It's real. And Wild Child said something earlier. It's all related to the fear of the unknown. People are often scared to ask the real questions, and that's a great point. That's why this kind of stuff doesn't get a whole lot of attention unless it's somebody like Joe Rogan. And even then, it's kind of like a certain group of people and it never really gets talked about. And, oh, that was a good show. And nobody ever really stops and tries to digest these questions. And that's part of the reason I think, when people say we're alone because they're afraid that there's another species out there more advanced than us, or that we've already had contact with other species that are more advanced than us. There's a fear associated with that. No, cage me. I want to be caged. Put me in a cage. Make me work a 9 to 5. Make me do this. I want to watch basketball. Give me a way to get the dopamine, and that's all I really want. Don't make me have any responsibility. And I hate to say it, but it's what I see. The longer I've been on this earth, the more I see it in people around me. All you have to have is a little bit of willpower. If you're willing to go through life and have things happen to you and you are okay with it, and maybe it's a thing that you don't like. Maybe you lose a job. Maybe you lose a child. Maybe you lose a parent early. Maybe you're addicted to something, and you get whatever the reason is. Maybe you're diagnosed with something, and you just stay the victim, and you continue to victimize yourself. That's a problem. That's a problem that we have to break free from. We have to break free from the victimhood, cage me mentality. I just quit my 9 to 5 trying something new. And I'm not hating on 9 to 5s. I have a 9 to 5, but my 9 to 5 is merely a means to an end. A 9 to 5 is not enough. I work 12, 14 hours a day sometimes, and weekends every week. I mean, it's a weekend right now. I mean, you could call this work because it's a passion. It's a passion. You need to have a passion project associated with it. If all I did was work my 9 to 5, complained about my 9 to 5, went out and drank every day because life is so hard, rooted for the best basketball team, and then when anybody started talking about anything real, I just shut down and I changed the channel and I couldn't watch. I had to look away. It was about to break my reality. There's no power there. You're not building anything here. If that's the way you live your life, you're not building anything here. We need that fire to temper that sword, right? But you have to climb out the fire. Exactly. That's exactly right. Anything you go through in life, what he's saying is fire is essentially the trials and tribulations that you go through, and you're the iron. And in order to work out those impurities, you have to put yourself in the fire. It's just the way life is. I don't ever try to become the victim. I've had plenty of things happen in my life, right? I went to prison. I was addicted to drugs. My mother died from cancer. She very quickly, within 3 months, she went from a vibrant woman to passed away within 3 months when I was 18 years old. I could have let that define me. I could have let my addiction define me. I could have let my prison term define me. I could have let the fact that I couldn't get a job when I got out define me and just say, oh, it's too hard. No. These things are neither good nor bad. Sometimes I look back on those events and I'm thankful that I went through those things because that was my trial. So you need, if you try this, look back on things that were hard in your life and be thankful. Be very thankful that you went through those things because they made you who you are today. If you can look back on those things with shame, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for how you acted, but knowing moving forward, when you're in a situation like that, don't let this illusion, this DMT, this reality, this hallucination determine how you feel every second of the day. Don't be reactionary. That is not why we're here. And if that's the way you want to live your life, then live your life that way, man. I can't stress it enough that even when something good happens, you don't have to celebrate it. You don't have to be afraid of it because now something bad's going to happen, but you just need to accept it as it is. A lot of times we have these things happen. I almost got in a car accident the other day and I didn't. And I was very present in that moment, very thankful that it didn't happen. But if it would have happened, I would have just continued to move and do what I had to do. It's all about how you move through those moments. And that's what DMT, when you start to take, and I'm not just saying that, but breathing. You can do yogic breathing that causes hallucinations. It's not very difficult to do. And you can start to have minor hallucinations. And then it's starting to piece together that, oh, well, maybe because the problem is if your reality is the foundation of your existence, if what you think you see and the conversations you have is the reality of your existence, and then you've built your reality on sand. And when that crumbles, your ego crumbles. You have nothing to stand on. And that's what we need as well. You need that fall. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen because growth happens, because evolution happens. That's like saying that we should feel bad for the rabbit because it's being chased by the fox. But the rabbits being chased by the fox are evolving. Mathematically, through differential equations, we can see the relationship between predator and prey and the evolution of both. So there's nothing neither good nor bad. Right? It just is. It's just either optimal or suboptimal. There's two ways in which you can do things. You can suboptimally go through life being reactionary, or you can optimize the way in which you experience your reality. And these things help show us that. It's hard to remember as well is because it changes it's literally changing the pathways of your brain. Right? Your brain's becoming more entropic. So it's changing the way in which the mechanism functions. So when the mechanism begins to function again in a very particular way, it's like it's like dreams almost. Why can't we just remember dreams like we can? I can remember yesterday, the day before, but I have a tough time remembering dreams. Well, it's because the mechanism is operating in a different manner than it is in my waking state. It's that easy. Oh, that's a good point. Unearned wisdom, or I have a clip that I posted about optimization in religions and philosophies through the years and how religion and philosophy has optimized. And if it was optimized, it continued. If that religion or philosophy wasn't optimized, then it didn't. But we have to remember that optimization is optimization of the mechanism. So there might have been religions and philosophies that were much more advanced than where that mechanism currently was, so it wasn't optimal for that mechanism at that particular point in time. So that becomes this unearned wisdom. I used to call it, looking backstage at a concert, sneaking backstage. I'm backstage, but I'm where I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be here. There's a sense of fear of even being here, of being caught. So that's this unearned wisdom. Realization that you're doing things to yourself is a powerful realization. It can come through the mundane, and it can come through exercises like at the end of your day, looking back over the course of your day as a separate observer. And do you like that person? Would you like that person? If you interacted with that person that day, would you have enjoyed their company? Was that person gossiping? That's one of the harder ones, right? As you start to have conversations with people and then maybe gossip. Gossip is, it's not helping the conversation. It's not helping individuals. And yeah, I think that you don't need to have any kind of a psychedelic experience to be able to say, oh, I shouldn't gossip, or I shouldn't talk negative, or I shouldn't feel negative. You can learn it all through the mundane, through certain practices, but it's definitely one way to supercharge it. What do you guys believe these experiences are or know for them to be? Yeah, I mean, I think these, like I said, I think this experience, reality is a hallucination. And I don't know what chat thinks, but I think reality is a hallucination. It is. Our perceptions are a hallucination. It just depends on your definition of a hallucination. It's just a stable hallucination, perceptual reality. So then when you experience or you alter that hallucination, now it's a hallucination because you've altered it. It's like, no, my mechanism is experiencing something, and I can take something either through breathing, orally, however, and it changes my perception of reality. It's not changing the underlying nature of reality, but our perceptual lens only gives us so much of that underlying perceptual reality. So whether you're doing yogic breathing or taking some sort of substance, it doesn't really make a difference how you get there. It's just another way. Now, would it be a beautiful thing if all of us could visually see? I think the problem is, remember smoking cigarettes? It was okay, like in the 60s. It was like, oh, everybody smokes. It gives you, whatever, a bunch of dopamine, makes you feel good. You don't know it's not bad. If you don't know it's not bad for you and it feels good, right, in the moment, then why stop? Why would you stop? But if you could visually see that it was bad for you in the moment, well, you wouldn't do it. Right? You wouldn't have that experience. Most people wouldn't, right? The payoff isn't worth it. Or especially people that are trying to do better, right? I didn't know that there was a bunch of carbs inside of this food, and I was trying not to eat carbs or whatever, and then I was eating that food and didn't realize that was causing a carb load. Whatever you want to use, it's like the ignorance. The ignorance of the fact doesn't change the fact that it's still affecting the mechanism. And it's just, other ways of being able to see that. Isn't the best. Joe's doing much better. This guy keeps interrupting him. Like I said, I've never watched any of these clips, so some of them will be good and some of them will be bad. Joe's doing a great job explaining this. But yes, Luminal Taurus said a limited perception of reality. Yeah, of course. Our senses are only 5 ways in which we can experience reality. There are billions and trillions of ways to experience reality. We are using photons to see. Right, we're using the electromagnetic field to feel. Right, we're feeling the pressure because of the pressure of basically our laws of physics allow us to perceive reality in a certain way. If there were different laws of physics, and the Everettian interpretation of quantum mechanics says that, of course, there are different places with different laws of physics that allow for life to exist, they would experience reality in a much different way. Perceptions is very limiting. So you either have awareness, which is all awareness, no perspective than one perspective. There's one for relativity, you need 2 perspectives. So if you have awareness, which is just this one perspective, you have no relative nature, right? There's no relativity happening there. And then as soon as you switch to self-awareness, where you have a relative perspective, now there's an infinite number of relative perspectives you can have. So it's like as soon as you have it, but they're all limited because there's an infinite number of limited now. But again, it's the infinite in the finite in the infinite, the fractal patterns, the superpositions. It all comes back to that. I've wondered about this since I heard some animals have more cones in the eyes, or like birds can pick up on magnetic fields. Their eyes pick up on the magnetic north and magnetic south, so they know how to travel north and south, right? You've got like pit vipers that can pick up on infrared. And that's the other thing. Okay, what's a human? What if, you say a human is a person I'm a human, right? Okay, Trent's a human. Okay, what if I lose a limb and now I have a prosthetic? Am I still a human? Oh, of course, somebody with a prosthetic is still a human. Okay, well, what if I lose an eye and I replace that eye with an eye that can see ultraviolet through infrared? Am I still human? Oh, of course you're still human. Well, okay, now I have a prosthetic arm and I have an eye that lets me see ultraviolet through infrared. What if now I replace my legs with metal that allows me to run faster? Now I can run much faster. Am I still a human? Where does it end and where does it begin? And like I said, with Michael Levin, we're going to be tapping into the bioelectric field. Where what if I want to grow a trunk because I want to be able to, drink water from the ground while I'm standing? Am I still a human? It's still my biology. I've just tapped into the bioelectric field. What does it mean to be human? And we had this conversation the other day. So to me, it's not. You have to be careful with. Okay, and then if it's a certain brain capacity. Okay, well, what about like my buddy who has frontal lobe damage? Is he human? His frontal lobe only operates at 30%. Is he still human? What about my sister who's mentally handicapped? Is she human? It can't be brain capacity because we see people that have a varied brain capacity. They're obviously still human, right? Okay. Let's see. Let me see. There's a way you see isn't consistent. The way we see isn't even consistent. Exactly. The way we see and our vision plays tricks on us. I'm sure you've all seen the different tricks with the different shades of colors, and they're the same color or they're different sizes. They look like different sizes, but they're the same size, right? There's plenty. Just Google optical illusions. Our perceptions aren't even necessarily showing us. There's no like objective reality for it to show us. It's just adapting to the information, to the input. Crows seem to think at a level of children. Exactly. Crows can think at like I think it's 3 years old or something. A level of children is a good way to put it because it's generic. Yeah, are they human because now they're operating at that level? What about dolphins? Right? What does it mean? What does all that mean? Exactly. It's a spectrum. It's a gradient of intelligibility and perception. Intelligibility and perception are essentially the same thing. It's how we're interpreting the data.